This is Bilal Randeree, and I'm at the Aljazeera forum with Hugh Miles, author of the award-winning book Aljazeera. Could you give us a brief introduction in yourself?
My name is Hugh Miles. I'm a journalist, freelance journalist, and author of two books. One about Aljazeera, how Arab TV news challenged the world, and the second one about young people in Cairo called Playing Cards in Cairo, which was republished in paperback last week.
Wow. You've obviously been following the developments in Tunisia first, Egypt, Libya, and I'm sure in researching your book you've been following the region quite closely. Did you see this coming?
Wallahi, I think it's fair to say that I had a strong feeling that there was going to be something happening in Egypt. I had no expectation that Tunisia would be first. In fact, I thought that Tunisia was one of the less likely Arab countries to experience the revolution.
Yeah.
But Egypt, I thought that something had to boil up fairly soon.
And then from you, where else do you expect? I mean, it's been happening in a lot of places also, Bahrain, Oman, Algeria, on and off. But going forward, what can we expect to see in the region?
I think the first thing we're going to see is the end of the Gaddafi regime. And once that's out of the way, I expect that there will be more revolutionary activity in other Arab countries. The big one, of course, is Saudi Arabia. And I think that Saudi Arabia is going to pop soon.
There actually has been reports of protests this past weekend in Saudi Arabia being crushed. But again, Aljazeera isn't allowed in, and you obviously wrote extensively on reasons for that. Just to end off, can you touch on the role that Aljazeera plays in the region now, and if it's changed, how it's changed in the past few months?
Well, I found that Aljazeera's coverage of events in the Gulf region have been a bit disappointing in recent months. I found that Aljazeera has not given as much attention to Saudi Arabia in particular as one would expect. Not just events inside the country, which as we know, it's very difficult to report inside Saudi Arabia. But of course, Aljazeera can still interview Saudis outside the kingdom, and it can also follow Saudi affairs, for example, in London, where there's a lot of activity, a lot of royal family activity. So I think the dearth of material on Saudi Arabia on Aljazeera has been a bit disappointing. Likewise, I think more could have been made of events in Bahrain, particularly on Aljazeera Arabic. I feel that perhaps because Aljazeera sees the uprising in Bahrain as a sectarian struggle, Bahrain has been slightly relegated in Aljazeera's coverage compared to coverage of uprisings in other countries.
I mean, you obviously you wrote the book on Aljazeera, so you to some extent understand how it operates. Any ideas on why you think the coverage on Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, you mentioned Bahrain, but on Saudi Arabia, why you think we were perhaps not, up to standard?
Well, I don't have an easy answer for that. I don't know is the short answer, but I think that it's fair to say there's some kind of gentleman's agreement between the governments of the Gulf countries that they shouldn't rock the boat too much. I mean, I don't have any evidence for this. This is just the suggestion. This is certainly the rumour. But what I can tell you is that Aljazeera's coverage or lack of coverage of Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries is, unfortunately, threatening the credibility of the channel.
Thanks for interesting thoughts. I hope that as time goes, that changes and we improve our coverage of events, not just in the region, but all over the world. Hugh Miles, thanks. Hopefully this interview makes it up on our website. That's aljazeera.net/English. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.